We're in the 1980s in Germany, a very particular time when the automobile industry is booming. Customers are increasingly interested in cars drawn by performance or competition success. Mercedes is out of the competition scene and quickly realizes how important it is for them to return in order to ensure the prosperity of their brand. Today we're going to talk about a car that everyone knows, but very few of you have had the chance to see. A car that was never supposed to be built, yet managed to become one of the most iconic models from Mercedes. I'm talking about the 190e 2.5 Evolution 2. It's the early 1980s and Mercedes unveils the W201, which is the internal code name for the 190. A bit sportier, it was designed to attract younger owners to the brand, so it's an economical model that still didn't forget about safety. Even back then, this model was equipped with airbags, ABS, and its body was designed to protect passengers as much as possible. Mercedes had just expanded its lineup by introducing a new family car. So I could give you a detailed list of the specs for all the versions of this model that came out over the next 10 years, but I know you and I know why you're here. Let's talk performance and let's talk about racing. So as I was saying, we're in the 80s and cars are more than ever a symbol of social success. Every buyer identifies with the brand, making their car an extension of their personality. Despite the gradual implementation of speed restrictions, power and performance remain the main selling and marketing points. The automotive industry and this strategic choice are accompanied by numerous sporting events. Victory sells, and despite an undeniable racing record, the image of Mercedes as a car manufacturer has, since the tragic accident of the 300 SLR at Le Mans in 1955, been much more focused on quality, safety, and comfort instead of sportiness. So it's all well and good to have a new model, but giving it only a 2-liter engine producing just 109 horsepower and 122 for the fuel-injected version was not going to win over all buyers. Some people complained it was boring and the company overreacted to the criticism. Because in 1980, just a year after the first versions of the 190, the 190e 2.3-liter 16 was unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Nicknamed the Baby Benz, the 190e would embody the brand's big return to motorsport. And as its long name suggests, the car now had a 2.3-liter inline 4-cylinder engine with 16 valves. Thanks to modifications by Cosworth, it produced about 186 horsepower. That was exactly what a small team at AMG needed to go in search of racing glory. This was 1 month before the launch of this version. Sur la piste de Nardo, dans le sud de l'Italie. The Mercedes is about to break a series of records. From August 13 to 21, 1983, 3 slightly modified production cars set out to conquer 3 world speed and endurance records. After a marathon of 201 hours, 39 minutes and 43 seconds, 2 of the 3 cars had covered 50,000 kilometers at an average speed of 247.9 km/h. So I don't know if you realize what 50,000 km in 8 days means, but it's just impressive. Anyway, let's get back to the point. Back to the matter at hand, cars. And for that, there's nothing better than starting by taking part in a brand new championship, the DTM, a touring car competition in Germany. Mercedes had been keeping an eye on the DTM for a while and knew that a 2.3L 8-valve engine wouldn't be enough against the rivals, especially with the competition getting stronger. The collaboration with Cosworth aimed to mass-produce a more powerful engine, making it eligible for DTM homologation. AMG was tasked with adding its magic touch and teamed up with Marco RSM, the personal racing team of Helmut Marko, a familiar name for Formula 1 fans, in order to turn the new sporty version of the 590e into a true race car capable of delivering impressive results. So I'll make a small aside to explain the DTM regulations to you, because they required the use of touring cars derived from production models, with limited modifications. Vehicles needed at least 5,000 units produced for competition approval. Let's end that aside. The 1986 season started with 3 cars entrusted to Brewer, Gallina, and Obendorfer. And by the way, I apologize in advance for all the German names. I'm not that good with them. The results started coming in. At the Nürburgring, we have Volker Weldler making his appearance behind the wheel and winning the race. Only the car's 3rd race. He does the same at Avis in the next race. And Breuer even secures 2nd place. At Mainz, they finish 4th and 5th. At Wunstorf, they are 2nd and 3rd. At the Nürburgring, for the Touring Car Grand Prix, Weldler is 2nd. In short, Mercedes is gradually but surely making a strong comeback. And in that year's championship, it's BMW who wins, but Weldler keeps 2nd place. In 1987, the hope is to maintain this momentum or ideally do even better. Unfortunately, they're going to be outpaced by the arrival of the M3, so we end up with a 190e that drops back to 3rd place on the podium behind BMW and Ford. So it's clear that changes are needed. In 1988, the championship format was changed from the traditional model of 1 race on Sunday to 2 races per weekend, 1 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. There were better results at the start of the season, but the season ended with a victory for Klaus Ludwig driving a Ford Sierra RS5, but behind the scenes, Mercedes was already already preparing their response. They had come so close to success and were determined to prove that they too deserved to shine at the highest level. The 2.3-liter engine simply didn't provide enough power to compete with the BMW M3 and the formidable Ford Sierra, even with the restrictions imposed on the latter. That's why, for the next generation, the engine would now be 2.5 liters, allowing it to develop 197 horsepower. But this time it was designed to be tuned, and that's the big difference. In March 1989, Mercedes unveils a very special 190e at the Geneva Motor Show, with some not so subtle modifications. There's an aggressive body kit, bigger brakes, significant improvements to the suspension system, but only 502 road versions will be produced. This is the 190e evolution, also known as EVO1. Let's go back to racing with a complicated start to the season because the car wasn't ready on time, so they started with the old model, still managing to get a win at Hockenheim. The EVO arrives and changes everything, Adipols. Finally, Ludwig had the perfect weekend by winning 2 races before taking a second consecutive double victory at the next round held at the Nürburgring. The Mercedes were finally up to the task. Unfortunately, the season ends with Tim in 4th place in the championship and Ludwig in 11th, not having managed to accumulate enough points. In early 1990, the machine was revised during the off-season. It's finally the unveiling of the EVO2 with an even more aggressive body kit and this time an engine pushed to 235 horsepower. By the way, this evolution will also be produced in only 502 units, of which only 30 will be sold in France. The DTM adjusts its rules for 1990, notably banning turbos. So Mercedes and BMW won't be affected, but on the other hand, the Ford Sierra RS500 and its Cosworth turbo engine have been practically excluded because of this change. You have to look on the bright side, and Mercedes understood that well. That's one less competitor for now, because Audi for its part isn't doing things halfway. Here comes the formidable V8 Quattro. And that year isn't representative of the EVO2's performance since it only entered the competition starting from the 7th round. I'll spare you the details and we'll go straight to 1991, which marks the first full year of competition for the EVO2. And Ludwig achieved a double victory in the 3rd round at the Nürburgring, proving that the EVO2 had the ability to compete with the ultra-competitive machines from BMW and Audi. This was followed by several podiums and a victory by Curtin in the first race at the Norrisring before Ludwig achieved another double victory at the Nürburgring in the 8th round. 1992 is therefore a decisive year for Mercedes. They have been testing their 190e for 7 years without ever taking gold. Now it has to pay off. But the results from 91 are still reassuring regarding the performance of the EVO2 and give hope for this new season. Mercedes made a spectacular start to the season with 3 wins in the first 4 races. And 12 races later, AMG and Zagspeed had 5 and 4 wins respectively. The title was inevitably being contested between these two. A remarkable event happened at the 7th round when Audi was disqualified in the middle of the race after the technical stewards deemed their flat crankshaft illegal. Things were now much tighter, but Klaus Ludwig quickly set things straight by adding 4 more wins to AMG's tally. Despite a final round to forget with Ludwig's retirement, the 1992 championship had just been won by the 190e 2.5 L16 EVO2. This was a historic moment for Mercedes as they just won the DTM for the first time. 1993 was the last year of competition for the EVO2, where it was beaten along with all its German compatriots by Nicola Larini's Alfa Romeo 155. This is due to the shift from Group A to more flexible FIA regulations. This gave a significant advantage to the new cars, which could be modified more extensively, both mechanically and aerodynamically. So it was in 1994 that Mercedes withdrew, ending 8 consecutive years with the 190e. And despite not being as successful as Mercedes had hoped, this EVO2 became legendary and remains an undisputed icon. It symbolizes the brand's ingenuity and perseverance in the world of motorsport. With just 502 units made, seeing one in person remains a dream for many enthusiasts. This was my first long format video on the channel, so if you liked it, please subscribe.